episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm so glad you're joining us. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Ashley. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. I'm very excited to interview her because not only is she a mom of 6 kids, but she has a lot of animals. Can you say you're a mom to animals? She cares for them as if she's the mom. Tell us about that.
Well, we live on a farm. We have beef cows, dairy cows, dogs, cats, and that keeps us very busy.
Do you know how many of all of the things? How many animals do you have?
Let's see, we sold 3 cows yesterday, so we have 24 cows total right now.
Wow. So are you raising them all to sell them?
We raised we have the 20 or the 19 now beef cows. So raise those.
Those are all for beef. And then you have separate milk cows?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have,
fun.
3 mostly that will be, we have 1 that we're milking now, 2 that we're raising to milk in 2 years.
So do you sell the milk or do you just have that for your family?
Mostly for our family, and then if we have extra, then there's a little bit of extra.
Do y'all do chickens too? Fresh eggs?
No chickens. My son has a bird dog, so no chickens.
Oh, the bird dogs. We used to have a bird dog. We loved her so much. And she was so sweet and gentle, so family friendly, and we didn't really know. She had actually previously been trained as a hunting dog by the previous owner, and we got her as a pet. And after he was done using her for hunting, and we didn't really know her split personality.
Very different.
Very different. When she started hunting, all of a sudden, and we were actually in town in a neighborhood and did not know that our neighbors had chickens in town. In which, I guess that was fine. I don't really know how all that works, but she knew.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she found out. And then we found out.
We constantly have bird feathers in the yard, even though we don't have chickens.
Oh.
So he'll just find all the things. And we also have pigs, so.
Very fun. So the pigs, are you raising those for meat?
Yes.
I'll have some good cooking. So what do you do? I know you do a lot of things with, I know you make cheese. Mm-hmm. What else do you do?
With the milk?
Well, with all your things.
All the things. Well, we always have a freezer full of meat, which is very helpful. And my family also hunts. So we have a big variety, which is helpful when having people over.
Yes. And with 6 growing kids.
Exactly. You always have something that you can pull out and cook. So we have, we do the pork. You can do the bacon, sausage, hams, all of the things, and all of the beef. And then with all the dairy, we can do all the cheese and sour cream, buttermilk.
That is amazing. Farm fresh. Mm-hmm. People go to the farmer's market to try to get just even one of those things that you just mentioned. They spend a fortune.
Yes.
I feel like I need to raise a meat cow.
It's pretty great.
Beef is my favorite. So,
yes.
Okay. So obviously you have a large family, 6 kids. But when you have another family over, you have even more. Tell us a specific menu that you think of when you think about serving a crowd.
Well, one of my favorites is the white barbecue chicken with dirty rice. That is it's a big, filling comfort food that every time we've served that, people have loved it. And so that's one of our favorites. Another one that we do a lot is just a taco bar.
Taco bar. I actually love that because you can pick and choose. Kids who are a little bit picky can find what they like.
Everybody can put whatever they want. It's good for special diets. Mm-hmm. You can make bulk food and feed a ton of people.
Yes.
Very easily.
Yes.
And we pretty much always have those ingredients on hand, so it can be a very last minute throw together.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to do taco shells, you can do chips on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Or just lettuce,
salad.
do all of it, yes.
Mm-hmm. Or just have a lettuce base. Okay, so white barbecue chicken. So I guess with white barbecue chicken, you're making your own white barbecue sauce. And I will post this recipe, by the way. Whoever is already drooling when they hear the white barbecue chicken. I will have the recipe on comeoverfordinner.com. There's a recipes page where you can print this off. So you serve it with what?
For on the side, I like to do it with a crunchy sourdough, maybe a green salad, some roasted asparagus, and always with the dirty rice. We love the dirty rice. We make extra white barbecue sauce, put that on the chicken and the rice is how we like it.
Oh my word! I haven't had dirty rice in a long time. Is that a Cajun or a Southern term?
It is, but this recipe, I think a lot of them have beef and other meats in them. This one is just the kidney beans
Okay.
with the rice and then all
Why
the
it's called
vegetables.
that. Yes, I think growing up in the South, I think when they did dirty rice, it was sausage.
Yes,
potentially.
I've seen a lot of recipes with that.
It's been a long time since I've made it, but now that I'm seeing this name again, I'm like, oh, that was really good. And kids won't turn down rice if there's some sausage in it.
Exactly.
But this recipe looks really good too. And of course, if you have a meat, you don't typically want another meat in your rice. So just having the beans with the rice is perfect. Okay, well, this looks delicious. How would you make it go a little bit faster on the day you're having people over? Do you start this recipe the day of?
I sometimes do. I really prefer, because you marinate the chicken, so I prefer to marinate it the night before. And then it's really easy the day of. You make your white barbecue sauce, throw your chicken in a Ziploc bag, throw that in the fridge, and then the day of, you're really quick and easy to just bake it. You could also make the rice ahead of time and have your veggies all chopped. Mm-hmm. And then that's just a saute the veggies, throw it all together. Really quickly comes together.
Well, I actually love that idea of prepping as much as you can before the day of. I've often thought, even if I have the whole day off, if I'm not going somewhere, I'm at home, I've often thought, I have plenty of time to, start and finish, and somehow it just doesn't ever quite happen.
Yes. Something goes wrong.
I always regret not having done a little bit of prep the day before.
Yes.
So this actually has multiple parts. You could start prepping the day before, making it a lot easier. Something always tends to come up the day of, an emergency you're not quite prepared for.
Yes.
Somebody falls and scrapes something and needs to go get stitches, or, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, but something typically does. So, all right. So when you're going to, this is a great menu, but let's say you want cooking inspiration. You've tried all your recipes. You don't know what you're going to cook. Where do you go find cooking inspiration when you're looking?
Mostly a lot of Instagram. Follow some good people on Instagram. Get some ideas. Half Baked Harvest is one of my favorites. I have made a ton of her recipes, and I have not made a single one we didn't love.
Really?
Which is saying something.
That is. And she actually, I think now her recent format is maybe it's been more than recent, I don't know. But she actually puts the recipe on Instagram.
Yes,
where you
often.
can scroll and read the actual ingredients and recipe while you're sitting there. A lot of times you have to click through a link.
Right.
For people, which isn't hard, but, a couple
more
of
step.
clicks, 2 or 3 clicks to try to get to their website. So, all right. Well, that's a great Half Baked Harvest. A lot of people have mentioned her, and she has cookbooks out too.
Yes, she does.
Which I have a couple, I think, maybe one at least. She does have a website, and of course, Instagram. I kind of like having a cookbook is fun, but with new stuff every day, I kind of like that new inspiration.
Well, then you're very inspired. You're like, oh, this is what we're having for dinner tonight.
You get a lot of variety.
Yes.
On her Instagram or website. And you see pictures, which, there is one still picture in a cookbook on a cookbook page, but it's different than seeing like 12 cookie pictures as she's making them.
Yes.
By the end of it, you have to make the cookie recipe. She recently did it was a chocolate chip cookie, but it had espresso or coffee or something.
yum.
And I resisted. I'm like, I'm okay. Until I scrolled and I'm like, okay, I've got to make these. They look delicious. Anyway, okay. What about a shopping tip? You're shopping for a crowd. You actually already have lots of food on your farm.
I do.
You don't have to shop like the rest of us do. But, all the things you don't have, tell us your best shopping tip.
Well, I am not a shopper. I do not actually enjoy shopping, but I do love restaurant supplies.
Okay.
And so going to the chef's store down in Clarkston or the cash and carry in Lewiston is very fun for me.
So in a restaurant supply, is it kind of like a beauty supply where you have to have a membership?
No, you do not. You can just walk in.
And you don't have to show anything. You
Nope.
just buy like you're a restaurateur.
Exactly. I think that if you're a restaurant, you get a discount maybe. But no, you can go in there, and I think it's fun because you see things that you don't see it. If you're just shopping at the regular grocery stores all the time, you just tend to walk past things.
Sure.
So you get inspired in a different way. Mm-hmm. They have different things. So if you need sun-dried tomatoes, you can buy that in bulk.
Wow.
Or
And in the regular grocery store, from what I remember, it's just a teeny little jar.
teeny. Yes, exactly. And so I like to buy things in bulk, but I do I do a lot of canning. And so I buy 25 pounds of beans at a time. And then I go home and can them, or lots of fruit and can the peaches and the applesauce and make the jams because I don't enjoy shopping. And then I always have something on hand.
So you do bulk all and get it over with all at once.
Yes.
Another one of her many talents. Okay, I like that tip because you're right. If you go to a new place, then you really get to kind of see everything.
Yes.
And probably take a little too long. Don't ask my kids about the first time I went to IKEA. Oh, it was bad.
I've still never been.
I think who was with me the first time, whoever it was, is still traumatized. Because, you have to wind a certain way, but it was all so big and overwhelming that I was just like, ooh, what is it? What? Oh, hey, come over here. Look at this. We were in there far too long. Okay, best cleaning tip.
Well, when we have company, we like to do it together. So everybody gets a job with tidying, cleaning. I asked my family what were their big tips, and some of them were, you need to have loud, fun music.
That's a great tip.
We have to party while we clean. Yeah. Everybody gets a job, and as soon as you're done with your job, you go help whoever needs help next. Sometimes you're cleaning upstairs, you're cleaning downstairs, or you're cleaning the bathroom.
Right.
And then it makes it much more fun.
Yes. All of a sudden, if you have fun music going even before company comes over, all of a sudden it changes the mood of drudgery into,
exactly,
like you said, a party. This all of a sudden got ramped up to being a little bit more fun than we thought it was going to be. And then just having the idea of helping each other is a great idea too, because, some people, jobs aren't always equal. So sometimes the kid that gets, sweep the front porch and is done in 30 seconds, it's like, I'm going to lounge here while y'all clean the entire kitchen that mom just messed up.
Yes, and it puts them in better fellowship when they're working together.
Yes.
Which sets the mood.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great skill to continue and to learn to continue throughout life. So I love that. What is your best advice for showing warm hospitality to those coming into your home?
Okay, some of my tips from my children were the house must be clean. My one daughter said, it has to be clean because that's welcoming. And it makes people think we thought of you. You were worth our time to put out the effort. And her other tip was all of the lights need to be on. Because that is welcoming.
And how old is this daughter?
She is 11.
Oh, she is already a great hostess.
And everybody needs to be happy in fellowship. And she said it needs to smell good with the food cooking.
Well, tell her thank you for all of her tips, because these are great tips and I need to jot all of them down and remember to check each one off. Have a checklist the next time I have company over.
Another one that we like to do is greet people at the door and often even before they knock. And it just presents the message, we're happy to see you, or we're excited that you were coming.
We're waiting for you. We're watching for you.
Yes.
Well, with 6 kids, I bet that's pretty easy.
Pretty easy, yes.
Somebody's peering out the window waiting for their friends to show up.
Exactly.
That's good. Or if, with all the animals, the cows are mooing, the dogs are barking, cows are running. Or not cows. Did I say cows? Cats are running.
The pigs might be who knows?
Right. Kids might, or the pig, I can't talk. Kids might oink. I meant pigs might oink.
They might greet you at your car.
The kids might oink as well. Who knows what's happening, but typically it'll be the pigs that are oinking.
And we have this huge Amish table. And so it goes from a card table to huge, and we can easily sit 16 plus people around it.
Tell me about this Amish table. What in the world?
Have you ever seen one?
I don't think so.
So we have it. We got it used right when we moved into our house. It came up. I've been looking for one for years. And it came with a buffet and a hutch.
Okay.
And in the hutch, you can store every leaf.
So this was made as a set.
Yes.
Wow.
Custom made, and it came with 14 chairs, and then we can squeeze more in. And
It's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's so easy. So then, even though we're a big family, we can have another big family, and
And it's still all
we
sit
can
at the
fit
same
at the table
table.
almost always.
Wow.
But because it's so long, we typically eat buffet style. We go through the kitchen, and then we still often will set the table nice or do something.
Sure.
You pull out the nice goblets. Always have drinks for the kids that are special. You try to think of other special things that way.
Do you put drinks on the table or do you have those on
We've
your
done
buffet?
both.
Okay.
We do it both ways sometimes.
What special drinks do you put on the table?
Well, if we do like a sparkling cider, or we'll make a special punch sometimes, or anything fun that the kids want to do.
Yes. Well, and having them on the table keeps them from spilling and having to carry a plate
Yes,
and a
I have
cup.
to go back. Yes, and then water pitchers and fun stuff that way.
But having a buffet style actually does work if you have a huge crowd, because a lot of times maybe you can't fit all the dishes on the table.
Or it takes a half an hour to get the food around.
Yes, by the time you've passed to the 14th person, it's ice cold.
Yes.
The potatoes were steaming hot, now they're cold.
Now they're
Enjoy. Also, if you're little kids too, if they're at a buffet and in line with mom and dad, it's easier for them to kind of slop.
Exactly.
That's not a great word. I have pigs on the brain. You can place a spoonful of potatoes on all the small children's plates fairly easily versus trying to reach down, and put, help
Right.
all the small kids. So that's a great idea too, to have a big buffet that everybody can go through real quick and then sit at the table. And it leaves your table space open in the middle if you have a fun arrangement or
Right.
flowers or I don't know. Do you ever come up with anything?
My girls often do.
They do.
Well, and I grew a huge greenhouse of flowers this year as an experiment.
Another talent.
So my daughters have had a lot of fun picking those, making arrangements,
That's
making
a great
special
idea.
deliveries to people.
It's a great idea to have cut flowers from your own little garden or wildflowers.
Makes it
or,
super fun. And then you can just place them all over the house because you didn't have to go out and buy all these bouquets.
So
So it's
amazing.
super fun.
So amazing. Speaking of talents, we have to pause here because we've heard about some of her talents. Many, if you're keeping track. There's lots of farm animals. There's canning. She's made cheese. She's made everything under the sun that you can possibly imagine. But the other thing is pottery. Tell us about your pottery.
That's my little side gig that was just, I've had an interest in that for a long time and finally just was like, okay,
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Good for you. How long have you been doing pottery?
It's been a couple years now. And then just because we used to have dairy cows, got out of it for 6 years and just recently went back. So now we have the cows in where my pottery was.
Oh.
So my pottery
What
kind of
is
got
it? Cat bulls in the shop? Cows in the pottery barn? Is that how Pottery Barn has
Yeah,
its name?
Maybe. It might be. So the pottery is kind
Pottery
of pushed off
Barn
to the
Part
side.
2. So do you still have a spot to do pottery?
A little
not
bit.
right now?
It's not great right now. We built a shop and we lived in that for 5 years while we built our house. So in the shop, there's a lean-to that we had set up as a barn, and there's kind of extra kitchen space.
Okay.
Because we had milk cows when we built it.
Okay.
And then we didn't have milk cows, so the pottery got to go in there.
Nice.
And then it got kicked out again.
Well, her pottery is beautiful. Mostly what I've seen are mugs. Do you make other things too?
I
Plates and
do
things? Or mostly
like
mugs?
lemon squeezers and
Okay.
soap dishes, other things. I've tried other things, but the mugs are just my favorite because I love pottery mugs myself.
And who doesn't love a great cup of coffee or tea
Yes.
or mugs you use all the time, every day?
Yes.
The other thing, she mentioned bath somewhere in there. I think you mentioned bath. I don't know. It's just somehow something struck a memory that she also makes like bath bombs or body balms.
Body balms and soap.
Is it goat milk soap or what kind of soap in particular?
No, I've done a little bit of milk soaps in the past, but not a ton.
Okay, so just a regular type soap with
yep. With oils,
herbs and oils
lye oil and essential oils. And
she'll be back on the podcast. This is round 1. Round 2, I'm going to have to maybe get some soap recipes for us, guys. I have done soap in the past, but it has been a long time. You're reminding me of some things I've done, but it's been way too long.
Time to
it was
dig those up.
Very fun.
It is
It
very
is time
fun.
to pull that out. I don't know if I've made a body balm before, a body lotion or anything like that. So that's something I need to try. Maybe a summer project. Okay. Back to, we were talking about inviting guests into your home and having them feel warm and welcome when they walk in the door, or having a warm welcome. Any other tips from your 11-year-old? Or did we cover them all?
I think that was most of her tips.
Okay. Well,
She could probably come up with more, but I cut her off.
She has a pretty good checklist. Okay, so having 6 children, I'm guessing that they help you a lot in the kitchen. You said they help with cleanup. I'm sure you are teaching them to be interested in food, cook food, help you clean up the food. Tell me some of the techniques you do to keep them interested in having fun with helping
They're all
you.
very interested in food. And they're not picky eaters either. I am the pickiest person in our household.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they will eat anything. And we haven't forced the issue when they were little. We're just, you have to try it at least once. And it's worked very well. So for our fun thing that we do at Advent, we've done it a couple years now. That's their absolute favorite thing, is we blindfold all of them. We set them around the table. They're all blindfolded. And my husband and I have gone out and we've found the weirdest things that we can possibly find in the grocery store.
They must trust you an awful
And they
lot.
have to trust us. I wouldn't do it.
I don't know if I would do it.
And then they open their mouth and they're not allowed to say anything because we have to get around all 6 of them. So they're not allowed to say anything. We give them all a bite. And then they have to guess what it is. And so they're raising their hand, they're shouting out answers, they're guessing what it is and seeing who gets it right. And
Do
it's
they describe the food to each other?
yes,
Like
sometimes
what it
they'll
tastes
talk about it.
like?
Yep. Or sometimes they're just like, oh, that's so gross. I'm like, you can't say that.
Right. You can't skew somebody else's perspective.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that you've come up with? This is such an interesting idea.
We have done baby food.
Oh, I love that.
We've done hot, cold, all sorts of different baby food, which they never even ate baby food. So these are things that a lot of them are things they've never had. And then you just walk around and you try to find the most random things. We've done the really hot chips.
Okay.
I can't think of what they're called. Like just huge variety. We've done wafer cookies, as much variety as you can possibly, which doing it now 2 years in a row, it got much harder last year.
Because they've tasted
Because they'd already
everything.
tasted a lot. So we have to get even more creative this year. But that's the big thing they are very much looking forward to. The best part about Christmas is Christmas Day, but also this one day. What day can we do that?
So you just pick a day that is convenient.
Yes.
During
when everybody's going to be
before
home.
Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
During Advent. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
that is, y'all are very brave. I'm not a huge seafood person.
I am not at all.
And, well, I would say at all. I took a couple of trips to the coast. Living in the South, I went to Alabama once and Florida. And I had to step back on saying that because if you have it fresh caught straight off of the ocean, it's a different ballgame.
Different.
But if I was going to sit down to a blind taste test, I would have to have somebody promise they weren't putting seafood in my mouth.
Exactly. And we do
Out
try
of
to
a
be
can
nice,
or something.
but we try to stretch them too.
Yeah, like sardines or... Although I could be brave enough, I think, to handle it. My husband always preaches to me about how much protein's in a can of sardines.
Oh, I know.
He loves them for camping trips. I'm like, when he brings them into the house, I'm like, you got to eat those outside, buddy.
Yes. No, my oldest loves them. He walks around eating them just cold at school. But he's the one that fried up pig
a great
hearts
athlete. Oh, no, okay.
and took him to class.
I'm out. I'm out of the blind food test. Please don't invite me over. Fried pig hearts?
Yes.
Where? Okay, I was gonna say where did he get him, but this y'all do have pigs
Well,
on your
no,
farm.
he did that. This was at school,
Okay,
and so they dissected them.
but don't those come like in formaldehyde or something, like preserved pigs?
These ones were not.
Okay,
So
frozen.
after they were done dissecting them, he volunteered to take them home and fry them up and bring them
people-
back the next day.
No.
And I think everybody but one ate them and loved them.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he sliced them up, rolled
The
them in
girls
flour.
ate them.
All but one.
I
That's
am
from what I've
so
heard.
impressed.
Yeah, I was like, you're what? You're taking
You're
what to
so
school
brave.
tomorrow? That's gross.
And you're frying it in my favorite skillet, really?
Exactly.
Well, back in the day, and it's a current trend as well, use all parts of the animal from tip to tail or nose to tail.
Yes.
So, in fact, we were reading in second grade. I'm currently teaching a second grade class, and we were reading in Little House in the Big Woods today. And it talked in there about them. No, it wasn't that. Sorry. We are reading that book, but Nyanuki. It's a really good book. But we're studying Indians, and it's a book about a Shoshone Indian girl. And it's a fictional story. It's based on a true story. But in there, there's two girls. One of them is Sacagawea, and then her friend Nyanuki. And they were talking about, how hungry they often were. They didn't have a lot to eat, and they're about to go out on an Indian hunt. But they talked about the parts of they were talking about the buffalo that they ate raw because they were soft and they didn't have time to cook them. And all the kids just kind of froze.
Yeah.
I was reading this part out loud while they're doing a penmanship page, and they all kind of froze, and they looked at me like, did you really just say that? It's like, yeah, we don't really do that today, do we?
I currently have a cow tongue in my freezer.
What are you going to do
I
with
have
the
no
cow
intentions
tongue?
of doing anything with it.
Why is it in your freezer?
Because my husband put it there, along with heart and liver and all the things.
Nice.
They take up a lot of space.
Nice. Well, okay.
Told him they can cook that one day when I'm not home.
Okay. Well, that's, I opened my freezer, and apparently mine is better than your story. Well, no, your story beats mine, but I'm just saying I would rather open my freezer and see an entire fish. There's a whole entire trout. I think it's a trout wrapped up in a bag in my freezer, eyeballs and all. And I asked my husband, why is this in here? Because he always, as soon as he catches them, fillets and cleans them. And we have fillets in the freezer if he goes fishing. I think it was my brother-in-law that brought it over. I don't have time to clean this here. You can have it.
Well,
So somehow we, have a fish with eyeballs in the freezer sitting there waiting for something to happen.
Well, you have a sophomore boy too, so
Yes.
you'll appreciate this one. I opened my freezer this week, and there was a cardboard box, like an Amazon box in my freezer. That's
Interesting.
odd. So, of course, I open it, and there's a dead bird in there. Completely whole, feathered, dead bird.
I do have a sister in Arkansas, and I'm not going to do the story justice. She's going to I have to interview her still. I might try to do it over Zoom or something like that if I can get the quality right. Otherwise, I just have to, use it as an excuse to fly to Arkansas to do a podcast.
Business trip.
Business trip. This tops both of our stories.
Oh.
She had a dead dog.
Oh, no.
The story is that she was running, and they lived out in the country, and she was doing a quick jog to get some exercise, and a neighbor dog ran out and was barking at her, and she's running, trying to get away. Well, he attacked her and bit her, and bit her leg.
Oh, wow.
And so she goes home and has to deal with all that, and somehow the doctor that she consults says, you need to make sure that dog doesn't have rabies. And so her husband that night or the next day, maybe it was the next day, after maybe she went to the doctor to check out the bite on her leg, the husband went next door to the neighbor. Esther, if I'm not doing this justice, you will have to correct this story because it's just unreal. It's unreal. The neighbor says, well, the dog died.
Oh,
So somehow overnight, the dog died.
just randomly.
Maybe got in a fight.
Maybe had rabies.
Maybe he had rabies. Well, now we don't know.
Right.
Because the dog died.
Right.
And the dog is buried in the backyard.
Oh no.
And so it's just a real odd situation. Dog got in a dog fight, and somehow is now buried. Well, the doctor really wants to know if this dog has rabies. And so the only way that they can test is if, I don't remember all the details of how they're supposed to test, but since the dog's dead, I think that he had to put him in they dug the dog up, put him in the freezer, a deep freeze, an outside freezer. Maybe he carried him to the doctor the next day, or the vet, or whoever was going to test for the rabies. I don't know that part. We will, to be continued. All I know is I was horrified to hear about a dog in a freezer. Like, did you ever use that freezer again?
She wrap it up good.
Did you wrap it? What? I think you must have been in a trash bag or something. But yeah, maybe all of these product recommendations for Dawn. There's been some recommendations for Dawn Power Wash. Maybe that, there must have been some bleach, vinegar. I don't know. That tops both our stories.
It does. Absolutely.
Esther, she has a lot. Her and her husband, I told them they will have to write a book one day because they have the wildest stories, but they're all true. They're all true. It's just, how do you get bit by a dog? Then he's dead, and you need to dig him up. Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like, a grave robber story that you hear from back in the day. All right. Well, thank you for telling us about it. We're taking a lot of detours. The blind food taste testing. This is very interesting. And I may be brave enough to try it one day.
You have to try it.
No promises.
It's more fun to be the person feeding people. I volunteer.
Yes. That'll be my job.
That part's fun.
Yes. And shopping.
Yes.
That would be really fun too.
It's a date night. We go out for a date and then you run through the grocery store and giggle like little kids.
Okay. I'm going to steal this idea.
It's pretty fun.
I love it. And because that would be fun with teenagers or young adult. I mean, you could do it for all ages. It would be fun. Yes. So, and a mixture of ages.
Yes.
As well.
Absolutely.
Great tip. Your company comes over. Surprise!
This is what we're doing for dinner.
Everybody put a blindfold on.
We're cleaning out the freezer.
Dead dog. Cowtuck. Trout that's been frozen for a long time. May or may not have freezer room. All right. Moving on. What is your must-have kitchen item and where can we find it?
My must-have kitchen item is I have a Wusthof Classic Santoku, I believe is how you say that, knife, which is very expensive. It was a gift.
Okay.
And I love it. I use it every day. I use it for onions or vegetables or all of the things.
So worth splurging on one amazing knife.
But if you can't, you still need to have, in my opinion, some kind of quality knife. Mm-hmm. But mostly they need to be sharp.
Right. Learn how to sharpen your knives.
That's my big, when you go to someone's house and they have sharp knives, you're like, oh.
It's amazing to
actually
help
care
cut
about
something.
their knives. And you can slice a tomato.
Yeah. Those tomatoes. So how do you sharpen your knives? Do you use a whetstone or do you have an automatic sharpener?
My husband has a pet peeve of sharp knives as well. Yes. And so he has all of the knife sharpening things and he usually always sharpens them before he cuts anything.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I know there's different things, and so I can't really claim to be the expert here, but I do know we have something that you just drag the knife through. Mm-hmm. It's a guide, and you drag.
We have one of those.
And so it's pretty simple to just put your knife at one end and drag, and you're supposed to do, I think there's like a wider setting that you do a few times, and then you do the finer setting 10 times or something like that.
Yes.
So super simple. I'll try to find out where we bought it from. Amazon maybe for $20 or something. There are automatic, like electric sharpeners, and then you can also YouTube and find out how to do your own. Just like if you've ever seen a chef do it, it's very cool.
Yes, my husband does that too.
Or your husband.
Yes,
they can. Just maybe praise your husband and tell him, I just really want to see how great you do it. I just love watching you sharpen knives.
I pull it out and I'll start to sharpen it, and he'll like, no. So
he has to take over.
He's like, no, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, oh.
That's another trick.
Yes. Can you show me?
No kids are allowed to listen past this point. Do it wrong. Your husband will be like, no, let me take it. Kids have actually tried that. I had to learn that as a mom. They would do it really bad. And, mom has that tendency. I had that tendency. Maybe I shouldn't blame all of my listeners, but this mom had that tendency like, no, this is how you do it. And they would smile as they watched me do the task.
Finish it. Oh.
I finally got wise to that one. It's like, no, I'll tell you and I'll stand here and watch and see if you can do it right. And if not, you'll do it again.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it until you perfect it. All right. Well, thank you. Where do you buy your knife, by the way? You said Wusthof. Say it one more time. Wusthof.
Wusthof, the
Santoku. Or Santoku.
Well, because mine was a gift, I'm not sure, but I looked it up, and you can find them on Amazon
Okay.
or lots of other places.
Yeah, that brand is pretty.
I think that
common
knife
brand.
is like $170.
Okay. It's a common brand. Is Wusthof a German?
Yes.
German brand. Very high quality knife.
Yes,
Very-
I've had mine for years.
Yes. But again, splurging on one high quality knife, save your money, ask for Christmas money. But if not, if you can't, like she said, if you just had one that you could at least get sharp enough on a regular basis, chefs, I guess if you're a true chef in a restaurant, sharpen before. Well, you said your husband does this, so maybe he's a true chef. I don't think I would call myself a true chef because I do not do this, but they sharpen every time they pick up a knife.
Oh, yes.
They can't. Wow. They will not even use the knife until they've sharpened it. And
maybe my husband is a true chef.
I think he is. What does your husband cook? What does he like to do?
He likes to do everything. He does not like to bake.
Right. A lot of guys don't.
But all of the cooking,
some guys do.
He does really good meats, like pork chops. Fantastic pork chops.
Does he grill or do Traeger, or the smoking or grilling, or does he do inside?
He mostly does inside.
That's another time you start praising your husband. Ladies, if your husband likes to cook something, it is delicious.
Yes.
I always tell my husband, even if it's not the top thing he's ever made, like, it's not very good this time. I'm like, anytime a woman does not have to cook anytime anybody does not have to cook for themselves, automatically it's up a few notches.
It definitely tastes better.
It definitely tastes better. It's like, I didn't have to do any of the work. I was going to say, you don't have to do any of the cleanup. Sometimes you have to do some of the cleanup.
But it's worth it.
But it's worth it. But yes, my son recently, I was really, really busy, and I asked him to make me a grilled cheese. And he's like, how do I make a grilled cheese? I'm like, okay, you've got to be kidding me. And this is where, Mom did not get up and make the grilled cheese. Gave him instructions. He came back. It was the most amazing grilled cheese I'd ever tasted.
Yes.
And I had that thought of like, why is this grilled cheese so good? Because I sat here and did absolutely nothing.
You didn't
He did do a good job. But it was, just all of a sudden ramped up like, wow, somebody is serving me a hot grilled cheese. And I am sitting here, I was doing some computer work and I didn't have to move. And here I have this just steaming grilled cheese on a platter. So, anyway. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And we are going to have her back. So stay tuned for that. All right. Until next time. Thanks for joining me.